On my 5th day as a dancer, I thought, you know what? I'm not going to law school. This feels right. And as soon as I became a professional dancer, on my time off, on a Saturday, day off, on the summer holidays, I would just gather my friends together on their breaks and create dances. And one thing led to another, and I'm a choreographer. There's not really any school to be a ballet choreographer. You do it by doing 3 things. You become a really good dancer, or get really great training so that you understand dance technique. You really can't be a great choreographer, I don't think, without understanding dance technique. So train as a dancer. The second is watch dances. Learn by seeing how other people have made dances. Watch videotapes by ballets by George Balanchine, the great ballets of the 19th century, and contemporary dance, and see how dance makers put dances together so you start to understand how it can be structured. The third thing is get into the studio and just start doing it. You'll learn by doing. You just get your friends together and start making up steps, making up dances, and I think those 3 things are really important. For a kid who is interested in choreography, it's important to develop an individual, unique voice. And the only way you can do that is by finding things that you're excited about that inspire you. Maybe a piece of music, maybe a theme, maybe it's a book you read that you want to write a dance about, maybe it's a character, maybe it's something that happened to you, but it's got to be your voice. So those 3 things I talked about, technique, training technique, and watching other dances and going in and doing it, those are important. But make sure that all of that process is informed by something that excites you, so that you're going to make dances about something you think is really great. And maybe it's just music, or maybe it's a story, I don't know what, but it's got to be about you. Great literature is great because it has inside of it some of these archetypical characters, see these grand themes, and they seem adaptable to the ballet stage. The Wizard of Oz is no exception. It's really a classic. It happens that when I was a kid, I grew up in the Bahamas till I was 12. And every Sunday on the way to church, it was a tiny little island with, just tiny little island. They're very small. There were 4 kids in my class. And we would drive through the bush of this Bahamian island to go to church. And along the way, there was an old house, like a tiny little old abandoned house, weathered, kind of beaten. And we used to call it Dorothy's house because it looked like Dorothy's house had fallen after a Bahamian hurricane and plopped down in the middle, like on the sand. And so I still remember seeing that. And I remember as a very young child, my mother had held this information from us, but she told us that Dorothy had died when Judy Garland had died. And I remember crying as a 7-year-old because Dorothy had died. She was very important. Then when I was 12, we moved to South Texas, the Texas-Mexico border. And my couple of brothers and my sister, who were like my cohort of my family of 9, they're the youngest 4, in Mexico, bought a series of Mexican marionettes, the little bandito, the little borracho drinking man, the little marionettes, Mexican puppets. And one summer, I was 12, recostumed them quite extravagantly and painted multiple backdrops and put together what we thought was an awesome 30-minute adaptation of The Wizard of Oz with marionettes. And as a 12-year-old, my siblings and I toured to nursing homes and orphanages throughout South Texas.